Hey guys, my name is Tina. I want to share with you my story about how cute and seemingly harmless monkeys captured our village and nearly drove all the local residents crazy. It may sound funny, but in fact, even now, when I think about everything that we had to go through, my hands start to tremble and my eyes are twitching. Maybe you think that I live somewhere in an exotic place, but this is not really true. My house is located not far from civilization, where life is active and many things are going on. It's just that a couple of years ago, my parents decided to move to an eco village in order to be as close to nature as possible. Looking ahead, I will say that, well, we used to imagine this in a different way, totally different way. After we moved, our life really changed for the better. My parents and I began to spend more time together. They started working remotely, and I began studying in a distance learning school. This took our family to a completely new level of life and relationship. One day, being totally relaxed after an online physics lesson, I was swinging on a hammock near our house. While enjoying the singing of birds on the tops of the trees, I closed my eyes and began to dream of mountain hiking, holidays, and the seaside. Well, this is real fun, I would say. But my relaxation was interrupted by intense fear when some huge object fell right on my stomach. Because of this, each of my internal organs howled in pain, and I opened my eyes in horror. Later, I saw a monkey in front of me, which playfully looked at me while chewing some leaves. I didn't even know if I should cry or be happy with such a meeting, but the baby was really cute, so the pain kind of became duller because of my emotions, and a smile appeared on my face. And only when the monkey quickly galloped off, taking apples lying nearby, I wondered what this animal was doing in our area. Am I missing something here? Since I am neither a professor nor a specialist in the animal world, I went to my dad to ask these questions. Dad asked in surprise if I wasn't imagining things and carefully looked at my face, probably to make sure that I was okay. And he said that primates had never been seen here, and most likely I was just seeing a dog, which I mistook for a monkey. I will repeat once again that I am not a professor or a specialist, and I can hardly differentiate between a marten and a sable. But dang, confusing a monkey with a dog is impossible. And I don't know how to do that, honestly. I even felt kind of offended that my dad considered me so stupid and narrow minded. But apparently, there were some forces in this world that can restore justice. And a few seconds later, another monkey appeared right at the window of our house, or it was the same one, it's hard to say for sure. Dad was shocked and even opened his mouth in surprise, looking at the intruder, and then offered it a tomato, which it happily accepted and then disappeared. Well, I told you, monkey, this was a monkey, not a dog. And when Dad saw this creature with his own eyes, he put forward a hypothesis telling me about the melting of glaciers, the change of climate zones, and the sea levels all over the world. In fact, I knew all of this without his help, but what does this have to do with the monkey? Still, I was inclined to believe that there was some other reason for this. In the next 2 days, the monkey came to us again, and we gladly fed it. All our questions faded into the background when we were admiring the animal. It was something absolutely incredible and amazing. Other residents of our village also gladly fed the guest, and we all thought that it was something cool and funny. But our attitude totally changed when on the third day the monkey came not alone. There were 5 of them, and they all brazenly plucked vegetables from our garden beds and ate them right there. Well, we didn't mind sharing, but first of all, the vegetables were ours, and it's up to us to decide who and how much of them to give. Secondly, the monkeys plucked them very carelessly and trampled on the neighboring garden beds, so they brought more losses than joy. On the 4th day, the problem worsened even more because we woke up from some fuss near our house, and when we pulled back the curtains, we saw a lot of monkeys outside the window. This was as if we were in a world of primates, and there were dozens of them near our house. It's scary to think about how many of them came to our village. Then my parents and I tried to leave the house to look around, assess the scale of the disaster, and talk to the neighbors. But as soon as Dad opened the door, a banana hit his head. After that, the monkeys began knocking on our windows and demanding food. We already knew this gesture very well because it was in moments of hunger that they tapped themselves on the head. Dad decided that if we give them something to eat, we would gain some time and be able to run to the neighbor's place, so he took out several pears from the refrigerator, cutting each of them into 4 pieces. And as soon as we opened the door, the monkeys immediately grabbed a plate of pears from us and began to eat them. But we didn't manage to get out because the primates who didn't have enough treats immediately rushed into our house, jumping right over us. Dad barely managed to close the door, so we had to deal with 4 cheeky guys who had already smashed our refrigerator. As soon as I tried to show one of the monkeys where the exit was, it started screaming like it was crazy and hit me on the head with a carrot. Well, so much for cute animals. I apologized to the animal rights activists, but at that moment, saving myself was a priority. The primates turned out to be very strong and aggressive, so Dad just took them one after another and threw them right out the door. There was just no other way out, but it turned out to be not that easy because the monkeys were resisting, scratching, fighting, and one of them bit my dad's hand very hard. Oh, I wish this had been the end. Animals continued to knock at our windows and doors. Some of them even threw stones at our house. We had to strengthen the walls of the house and build barricades near our windows and doors. Otherwise, the monkeys would simply destroy them in an hour at most. When the barricades were built, we finally contacted the police and asked them for help. After hearing the reason for our call, the officer started laughing. "Monkeys? Really? Has the Bengal tiger passed by your house by chance?" he asked ironically, but still accepted the challenge and promised to send police officers to us. After about 3 hours of endless noise, we wanted only one thing, that is silence, but our invaders weren't really going to calm down. Soon, due to the endless rumble, we started hallucinating. Then it seemed to me that I was at a football stadium and the sounds around were the noise from the fans. Then I felt like a meat grinder inside which my bones were being milled. And in the end, I even had a vision as if I was caught in a storm on a handmade raft. And all this was not funny at all. It was very scary. At the same time, my parents had their own visions, and each of us seemed to be in our own fictional reality. But now I understand the hallucinations were a defensive reaction of my psyche that prevented me from going crazy because of the rattling that had been heard for many hours. By the way, it's very strange that the monkeys themselves didn't get tired of it, although perhaps they took turns from time to time. A day later, we were found almost unconscious by rescuers who managed to catch all the primates and send them to the incubator for a while. It took us, as well as our neighbors, some time to restore everything that the monkeys had managed to destroy, and the destruction itself was comparable to that from missile strikes. But still, it turned out that the most difficult thing was to restore our mental health. For a long time, I heard that rumble in my ears, along with the cries of the primates. By the way, let me tell you about the reason why our uninvited guests showed up. It turned out that the monkeys were kidnapped in Africa and illegally brought here by some unlucky businessman who placed them in his zoo. He planned to train them and stage a circus show, but his dreams collapsed when the monkeys were able to open their cages and escape. There were 60 of them in total. Having arranged an escape, they lived in our forest for some time, but they could not get food for themselves, and when they came across our village and even began to receive sweets, they could no longer leave it and actually had no place to go. So the animals themselves were victims, and we're not mad at them at all. Do you like monkeys? Give your answers in the comments. Click on the thumbs up button below this video and subscribe to our channel.